Healing with Coca-Cola, Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Friday, the 3rd day of November 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who is celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that this segment of the For the Record birthday shoutouts is brought to you by Pizza Boat. They are now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road, folks. So hop on board the Pizza Boat Express, because Pizza Boat, they make pizza even more fun. You can have your pizza delivered or you can pick it up. Simply call 949-0000 or order online via www.pizzaboat.ky. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or here in the Cayman Islands, at a medical facility, at home, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I need not tell you that For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, phone lines are open. This morning, again, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. May not be operational at this time, so you may want to try 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp number 925-3261. You can call on that number or send us a voice note as well. So, For the Record birthday shout-outs today, again brought to you by Pizza Boat. They're now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. We urge you to hop on board the Pizza Boat Express because they make pizza even more fun. You can have your pizza delivered or you can pick it up yourself. You simply call 949-0000 or order online via www.pizzaboat.ky. Let's look at the birthday shout-outs before we go to our commercial break. So we have happy birthday greetings going out to Mr. Gregory Scott over in Cayman Brac. And those birthday greetings are coming from your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, niece, and nephew. And they are sending you lots of love on your special day. So, Mr. Gregory Scott, happy birthday to you today, coming from your entire family. Also, we see that Mr. Delbert Hall is celebrating his birthday today, as well as Mr. Osborne Borden, Ozzy, celebrating his birthday today, and Miss Joanne Fleming's also celebrating a birthday today. We also are informed that Mr. Bob Watler is celebrating his birthday today, and Miss Ruth Williams, also celebrating a birthday today. We want to wish them happy birthday as well. Tomorrow, on Sunday, we have Nella Joy Watler. Sunday, the 5th of November, she will be celebrating her birthday, as well as Mr. Martin Abraham. He will be celebrating his birthday on Sunday as well. So, folks, with those birthday shout-outs brought to you by Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court. We're going to go to our first commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Arthur Durward Bodden, Certificate of Honor, 1905 to 1991. Arthur Bodden was Cayman's first wireless operator and weather specialist. He learned Morse code and received his license in radio telegraphy in Alabama and gained experience as a ship's radio officer before taking up his post in Cayman. Mr. Arthur's dedication went far beyond the call of duty during hurricanes. He sometimes worked as many as 36 hours without a break. He also pioneered printing in the Cayman Islands, learned during his employment with the Mobile's Press Register. For 52 years, he printed the official stationery of the Cayman Islands government. He and his wife, the former Edith Alexandra Crichton, had 5 children.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
International Diabetes Federation records reflect 6.1 adults aged 20 to 79 years old in the Cayman Islands live with diabetes. 537 million adults the world over live with diabetes. November is World Diabetes Awareness Month. November 14th is World Diabetes Awareness Day, marking the birthday of Dr. Frederick Banting, the insulin co-discoverer. We, Rotary Central, along with the Health Services Authority, invite you to a free health screening: blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure, hemoglobin, A1C, BMI, and free physician's consultation. Saturday, November 4th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 2 convenient locations: A.L. Thompson's Georgetown, Costules Governor Square, West Bay Road. Mark this date that could change your life for better. Rotary Health Check, Saturday, November 4th. Rotary, creating hope in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained entertained, whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid. You will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration with store-wide savings. Save on appliances, faucets, tubs, toilets, shower doors, vanities, kitchen cabinets, custom closets, and more. Starting Monday, November 6th, save 30%. Monday, November 13th, the savings will drop to 20%. And Monday, November 20th, they will drop to 10%. It pays to shop early and save more. Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration savings on now through November 25th. Dorsey Drive Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more details.
I love Pizza Boat. It's yummy. It has my two favorite things combined, cheese and boats. Pizza Boat makes pizza way more fun.
Hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Kids, now Pizza Boat makes pizza even more fun. Lunch or dinner, let Pizza Boat bring the fun. Pizza Boat, a Cayman twist to pizza, bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record this third day of November 2023. Earlier you would have heard I think it was part of our historical vignette talking about Mr. Arthur, the late Mr. Arthur Borden. And I want to thank one of our listeners on Wednesday who shared, we were talking about the Met Office here in the Cayman Islands, the building, the Cuban Met Office, and they shared this bit of information with me, which I'm going to share with you as well. Many of you may know this. So it talks about the fact that meteorological observations date back to 1937 when, under orders from Cuban President Batista, observations were taken by a small station consisting of 3 Cuban officers. 3 local men were added at a later time. The office was operated 24 hours per day, but only carried out synoptic observations. In the latter stages, the station was managed by Mr. Felix de la Rosa, who later obtained political asylum and worked in the United States. So the Cuban staff, or the staff at that time, you had Mr. Felix de la Rosa, Mr. John Borden, Mr. Arthur Borden, and Mr. Leighton Christian. And the also pointed out to us that Senor Felix de la Rosa, he boarded, which means he stayed at Miss Annalie Henderson's house, which was adjacent to where the copper kettle is now. I think in those days, Carl Brandon had his law offices in that building, as well as the optician, Mr. Broadbent, had his office and store there as well. Of course, that is where the original CIBC building, where the CIBC building, not the original one, because this first CIBC building was located in the Kirk Plaza, right adjacent to the Kirk Plaza building, where First Caribbean is now. But this is where the CIBC offices were eventually built, opposite the courts building as well. That's where Miss Annalie Henderson's house was. Of course, later on, that was a very popular restaurant as well. So I want to thank that listener who shared this additional information with us as well. So the Cayman staff, the staff at that location, Felix de la Rosa, John Borden, Arthur Borden, and Leighton Christian as well. Okay, want to share this with you. I'm not sure that I'm going to have enough time to do so, but this has to do with the local TVET, the Ministry of Education introducing local TVET grants to empower Caymanians with essential skills and training. This was released yesterday. It says that the Ministry of Education is pleased to introduce the local TVET grant, a groundbreaking initiative designed to equip Caymanians who have already completed their compulsory education with the essential skills and training they need to succeed in the dynamic field of technical vocational education and training, known by the acronym TVET. Valued at up to CI $15,000 per year, the local TVET grant covers tuition fees, course materials, and required equipment for eligible courses lasting 18 months or less, offered by registered local private institutions. This grant represents our government's unwavering commitment to invest in TVET programs and increase awareness of their significance, said Honorable Juliana O'Connor, Connolly Minister of Education. She goes on to say it ensures that Caymanians have equal opportunities to access high-quality TVET courses, opening doors to fulfilling careers and enhancing their contributions to our society. So, to apply for the local TVET grant, prospective learners can visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applicants are required to upload copies of the following documents along with their application. So you need a recent photo ID, you need a copy of your birth certificate, proof of Caymanian citizenship, that probably should say proof of Caymanian status, because the only citizenship that we have here in the Cayman Islands is British Overseas Territories citizenship. Whether or not that is required, I don't know. Also, you need acceptance letter from a registered TVET institution, character reference as well. And it goes on to say the administration of the grant will be overseen by a committee appointed by the Ministry of Education, and decisions regarding grant allocations will be announced on a quarterly basis. Goes on to say that unlike many other scholarship programs, the TVET grant supports education outside the traditional academic calendar by facilitating applications throughout the year. And that's a note that is made by Ms. Lynette Monteith, who's the acting chief officer in the Ministry of Education. She goes on to say this demonstrates that we at the ministry acknowledge the diversity of learning pathways and the dynamic nature of the job market. We encourage individuals to seize this incredible opportunity to unlock their full potential and pursue rewarding careers in TVET. And if you want to learn more about it, then visit their website, which is www.gov.ky/education. Or you can email the secretariat at scholarships@gov.ky. Folks, top of the hour, the 8 o'clock news. When we return at 8:30, we will have Minister for Tourism, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, in the studio with us. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And the studio time now by Foster's is a minute after 8.
Together, we make a difference. Due to stigma, many men silently endure the physical and mental issues of prostate cancer. This persists when society turns a blind eye to the well-being of our brothers, fathers, and sons. This month, Foster's and Priced Right, alongside the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, is shining a spotlight on an issue that doesn't need to hide in the dark. Donate today at any Foster's or Priced Right simply by rounding up your purchase or donating. Together, the CICS can provide support, initiatives, and give everyone suffering from this disease a chance at healing.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. As Radio Cayman reported last week, the Cayman Islands has been removed from the Financial Action Task Force's anti-money laundering gray list after the FATF determined Cayman's AML regime now meets the global standard.
This outcome is good for the Cayman Islands.
Opposition leader, the Honorable Roy McTaggart, is celebrating this milestone, but urging the PAC-led administration to keep an eye on the future.
Whilst we take a moment to celebrate this achievement, we must not lose our focus, but now turn our attention to continuing to improve and demonstrate that our AML regime remains effective in deterring, detecting, arresting, and prosecuting financial crimes, whilst at the same time cooperating with other countries where we need to.
He asked the government to, quote, redouble its efforts to open a Cayman Islands office in Brussels to engage directly and regularly with European Union members. Back in February 2021, the FATF put Cayman on the list of countries it was monitoring for deficiencies in their anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism regimes. The Cayman National Festival Pirates Week kicks off today with activities planned through November 26th. This year's theme is Cayman Wildlife and will feature events from beach cleanups to family fun days, food festivals, and block party street dances. One change, though, notably absent will be the traditional district heritage days, which will not be happening. Organizers say, quote, due to time and budget constraints, those events were cut. For more information and a full list of events, head to piratesfestcayman.com. In regional news, the Jamaican Ministry of Health and Wellness says the country has had a record 2,763 suspected, presumed, and confirmed cases of dengue as of Wednesday. Of the cases classified, 694 confirmed cases with dengue type 2 continuing to be the dominant strain. At the same time, the total number of dengue-related deaths now stands at 9, 7 classified as suspected and 2 is confirmed. All parishes continue to observe an increase in dengue cases in 2023 compared to last year, with Kingston and St. Andrew reporting the highest number of cases for 2023. However, St. Thomas maintains the highest case rate of 363 per 100,000 people, followed by Portland and Trelawney. Of the suspected, presumed, and confirmed cases, there were more men than women, with the highest number of cases observed in the 514 cohort, at a rate of 317 per 100,000 cases. The health ministry in Jamaica is again reminding the public that dengue fever is a mosquito-borne disease that is usually a mild illness in which people may get a fever, headache, joint, and muscle pains. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News, I'm John Shea.
The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has reiterated Washington's support for Israel's right to defend itself. But he said how Israel defended itself mattered, and it was important to protect civilians caught in the crossfire in Gaza and bring them desperately needed humanitarian aid. Speaking after talks with Israeli leaders, Mr. Blinken said everything possible was being done to free the hostages taken by Hamas last month. Fighting is continuing in Gaza, where the Israeli military says its forces have now completely encircled Gaza City. They're engaged in face-to-face battles with Hamas fighters in a built-up area that Israel says is the centre of the group's infrastructure. The UN has warned that while attention is focused on Gaza, escalating violence in the occupied West Bank is alarming and urgent. Palestinian officials say Israeli forces killed 8 people there overnight. Israel has begun expelling thousands of Gazans who were working in Israel and the West Bank before the Hamas attacks of October the 7th. The Israeli army says it's on very, very high alert on its border with Lebanon, where Hezbollah fighters have already clashed with Israeli troops. Israel has warned the Iranian-sponsored group it would deliver a response of unimaginable magnitude if Hezbollah decided to join the war. The Kremlin has dismissed a US media report that the Wagner mercenary group is planning to provide Hezbollah with an advanced air defense system. The report quoted US intelligence that it would take delivery of what's known in the West as the SA-22 system, which uses anti-aircraft missiles and air defense guns to intercept aircraft. One other headline, the UN says more than 25,000 people have been displaced across Myanmar by days of fighting with insurgents in the northeast. The 3 groups have taken control of almost all land routes to China. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Time to text the group chat. Direct flights from Grand Cayman to Barbados are officially here. Starting October 18th, you can now plan your Barbados getaway or family reunion with a non-stop flight via Cayman Airways. Weekly flights starting October 18th and twice weekly flights on Tuesdays and Thursdays begin November 7th, 2023. To book your flight today, call Cayman Airways Reservations at 1-800-422-9626 or book online at CaymanAirways.com. So pack your bags and get ready. Barbados is now closer than ever.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets. Ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
The 8 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 83 degrees. Relative humidity is 85%. The barometric pressure is 29.86 inches and steady. The wind is out of the east-northeast at 8 knots. Overnight low temperature was 79 degrees. Synopsis indicate cloudiness and isolated showers are expected across our area in association with a prefrontal trough and an area of low pressure over the western Caribbean. Further north, a high-pressure system over the southeast United States will support fresh northeasterly winds and rough seas across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours. Satellite images show patches of shallow low-level clouds across the Cayman area. Now, the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today and tonight is calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 60% chance of showers and possible thunder. Showers will be locally heavy at times, leading to flooding of low-lying areas. Temperatures today will be in the upper 80s and will fall to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet. Small craft should exercise caution over open water for today and tonight as well. We're presently at a low tide, and the next high tide will be this afternoon at 3:33, and a low tide again tonight at 10:35. The sun will set this evening at 5:49 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:28. And the outlook is calling for moderate winds and seas expected from tomorrow morning as the high-pressure system moves across the southeastern United States. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Hi, my AC just went out and I need someone to come fix it.
I'm sorry, we're closed.
Okay, what about tomorrow?
We're only open on Thursday. And we're fully booked.
Have anything next week?
No.
Okay, when can you send someone out?
The 22nd is open.
I'll take it.
Of December 2023.
With the best medical cover for your dollar, we're like an AC technician who isn't too busy for you. CG Brit-K. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. Weather Report, brought to you by CG Brit-K, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking. Change your life. Practicing forgiveness is a healthy habit.
As pastor and best-selling author Gary Chapman wrote in his book, The 5 Love Languages, How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a commitment. It is a choice to show mercy, not to hold the offense up against the offender. Forgiveness is an expression of love.
Change your thinking. Change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Roads are wet, so please drive with extra care. If you're coming from the east on Shamrock Road and Rex Crichton Boulevard, it's moderate flow of traffic. A different story further down on the road. As you get closer to the Linford Pearson Highway, traffic is bumper to bumper and taken about from the beginning of the Linford Pearson Highway until Georgetown, taking about 30 minutes. So expect some delays as you head on down to Georgetown. On Crew Road, traffic is bumper to bumper heading to Georgetown. Eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving on pretty good. As we look to the Estella Tibbetts Highway, steady traffic coming off of there and continuing on to North Sound Road, little steady traffic heading towards the Industrial Park area as well. Downtown Georgetown on Edward Street, moderate flow of traffic, and on Shedden Road, things are looking moderate as well. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing moderately, and no issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light to moderate. Edward Street, light to moderate traffic flow. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is steady, and off of Agnes Way as well. And if you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman 949-6990. Huldah Avenue, steady traffic. And join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another traffic report.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
During or after a storm, do not take unnecessary risks like going back into a dangerous area to salvage material possessions or refusing to evacuate. Remember, things can be replaced. People cannot. Visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky for more hurricane survival tips.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a second location in Governor's Square. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
Please ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use.
For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DAH website at www.gov.ky/DAH.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have a caller, but before we go to the caller, we just want to recognize another birthday that is coming up tomorrow. And Mr. Will Ryan, who is the son of Mr. James Ryan, will be celebrating his birthday tomorrow. So advanced birthday greetings going out to Mr. Will Ryan from his family. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connell.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, Minister Kenneth Bryan there also?
Not yet. He'll be here at 8:30.
Okay. Well, concerning work permits and who we're bringing into our country and on our islands, especially from countries where there are a lot of unsolved cases. We need to remember what happened to Estella Scott Roberts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. As well, thank you for sharing that with us. Want to go back to the announcement about the TVET scholarships, because they also included, the Ministry of Education also included some of the frequently asked questions about the local TVET grant. First one is, what is the local TVET grant? Local TVET grant, provided by the Ministry of Education, aims to equip Caymanians with the necessary skills and training to secure employment or advance their careers in the technical or vocational field. Also, who is eligible to apply for a local TVET grant? And those persons who are eligible, they are Caymanians who meet the following criteria. These are the persons who are eligible to apply for the grant. Currently employed, those persons who are currently, or Caymanians who are currently employed in an industry related to the TVET program they are applying to, intending to improve their skills or advance careers. I wonder if they list those industries at any point in time here. It would be good to see. Then it goes on to say, currently employed in an industry unrelated to the TVET program they're applying to, planning to switch to a career in the technical or vocational industry. So not only does it have to be an industry related to the TVET program, but it can also be an industry unrelated to the TVET program if the person is planning to switch to a career in a technical or vocational industry. Also, if you're Caymanian and unemployed and seeking employment in an industry related to the TVET program that they're applying to as well. Then another question, how do I apply for the TVET grant? To apply for the TVET grant, you visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website. As we pointed out before, you complete the online local TVET grant application. You will also need to upload a copy of the following documents along with your application: your birth certificate, proof. This is okay. They changed the wording here, which is good. Proof of the right to be Caymanian. So earlier in the release, it spoke to the fact, proof of Caymanian citizenship, but here it says proof of the right to be Caymanian. Then you also have to provide an acceptance letter from a registered TVET institution. You also need to provide a character reference. And then if you want to know what an acceptance letter should contain, the acceptance letter must be typed on the institution's letterhead with the name of the applicant, the name of the program of study, the duration of the program of study, and the costs of the program of study. All of that must be clearly visible. If you want to know what the application dateline is, it says applicants can submit their applications at any time of the year. However, decisions will be released every quarter to the applicants. So you can submit your application at any point in time during the year. The decision on applicants or applications will be released every quarter to the applicants. And if you want to know what the value of the local TVET grant is, each learner can receive a grant of up to $15,000 per year. Another question, can learners apply for multiple courses in 1 year? The answer to that is yes. However, applicants must complete the previous course with a minimum of a C average in order to qualify for funding for subsequent courses. Another question: who oversees the administration of the grant? The grant is overseen by the Ministerial TVET Grants Committee. Are the grants directly payable to approved applicants? That means if you apply and it's approved, do you get the money yourself? The answer to that is no. The Scholarship Secretariat distributes funding directly to the TVET institutions where applicants are accepted. What is covered in the grant funding can be applied to tuition, books, and related equipment. Another question: is the grant available for overseas TVET study? The answer to that is no. Grants are only available for study at local TVET institutions registered and in good standing with the Education Council. Can the grant support all full-time local degrees, local degree TVET programs and courses? No. Grants funding is only available for courses with a duration of 18 months or less, offered by a registered private institution. And this was the one that I was asking for. They covered all of them. Yeah, I hadn't looked further in this. Where can I find a list of registered TVET institutions? And the answer is a list of registered TVET institutions is available on the Ministry of Education website at www.gov.ky/education. So all of the frequently asked questions are right here for you, and the answers are given as well, quite comprehensive. We would encourage those of you who are interested, or if you know someone who you believe should take up this offer, go ahead and make the application. Go and get the list of the TVET institutions in the Cayman Islands, get your acceptance, and get your acceptance letter, submit it, and take the course. And I am sure that there is some mechanism in place whereby if for some reason the person discontinues the course, that the council or the ministry is informed, whether or not the TVET institution then has to refund a portion of that grant. I am not sure, but I am sure that there are checks and balances that are in place to ensure that no one tries to take advantage of the system as well, because we know that there are people out there who will look to do that. While the majority of persons are honest, some people will, of course, try to play the system as well. But again, those of you who say, "Oh, we don't have any opportunities," for Caymanians, we need a technical school. Well, there are schools out there that are offering this. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention. I wonder if we are all taking notice of the fact that there are more and more private schools being established in the Cayman Islands. One may ask the question, is that sort of a rejection of our public schools here in the Cayman Islands, or even those non-public schools that have a long established presence here in the Cayman Islands, or folks, and this is just dealing in hypotheticals, right? Are they being established to further drive a wedge between locals and the children of permanent residency, holders of permanent residence, or government employees, or work permit holders, or what? Just asking the question. I think one of the things that you can look at that will help you to sort of answer that question is look at the tuition and see whether, who can actually reach the levels of tuitions that they're asking for as well. Very interesting. Something that we should not lose sight of, and we should continue to monitor it as closely as possible. Folks, we have to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration with store-wide savings. Save on appliances, faucets, tubs, toilets, shower doors, vanities, kitchen cabinets, custom closets, and more. Starting Monday, November 6th, save 30%. Monday, November 13th, the savings will drop to 20%. And Monday, November 20th, they will drop to 10%. It pays to shop early and save more. Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration savings on now through November 25th. Dorsey Drive Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more details.
Radio Cayman News.
Today's outcome confirms our reputation as a well-regulated jurisdiction.
A change in court dates for two men charged with last month's murder.
Men remain in custody in Northward and are expected to return to court in November.
Officers responded to a report of a collision involving two pedestrians and a Honda Fit.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We are expecting Minister Bryan in the studio at any point in time. We do realize that there's a lot of traffic out there. And also for those of you who are on the roads, if the roads are still wet in some places as a result of earlier rain, we again urge you to please be extremely cautious on our roads. Ensure that you adjust your driving to suit the conditions under which you are driving as well. And those of you who are operating on the Shamrock Road 500, I call it the Shamrock Road 500 because everyone is racing down there. Please be extremely cautious. Please do. And I'm not going to say anything about the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service because we see that they have been out there ticketing, and we see the increase in the number of tickets when compared to the same period last year as well. So we see that happening as well. My question still remains, what about the speed cameras? Why aren't we getting those speed cameras put in place so that we can take the police resources and direct them elsewhere? Okay. I have several questions that I'm being asked to pose to the minister when he comes into the studio as well. And they want me to ask on the update on the status of the public transportation report. The writer points out that it has been an additional 6 months since they last asked about this report. They also want to ask the amount of funds spent so far on the report because it must have increased from 200,000 last mentioned to something astronomical since there has been the ridiculously long delay as well. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. I wanted to make this call once the minister was in the studio, but I will assume that maybe he's listening.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it is a matter that I explored with you a little bit, and you pushed back a little bit on me, so I had time to refine my thoughts a little bit on that.
Okay.
Now, this is the issue. This is the issue relating to the premier disagreeing with caucus.
Mm-hmm.
I just believe that it is a matter that needs to be settled because it is important, I think, to the constitutional practice as it is developing in Cayman. One, the caucus is not a creature of the Constitution.
Right.
So matters must not move from caucus straight to Parliament. They should go to Cabinet first because Cabinet is what brings it into the government constitutional context and then move from there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I understood from those who are saying it was fine for the premier to disagree with the caucus is, well, he can disagree with caucus, but so long as that is not cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a little bit of a problem with that. I mean, I think technically in terms of how the cabinet manual is written in paragraph 20.2, it says, well, if he disagrees with cabinet, then he has to resign. It doesn't say caucus. I do understand that, but I think when you go into the details of why do you have a body to begin with, why do you have caucus, it is so that they can have this collegiate type of decision-making and move together after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if indeed anybody can disagree with caucus outside caucus, then what does it mean? It means that caucus is useless. It means every minister can go to caucus. Whether you're a premier or just a minister, you can go to caucus, disagree with them, and go out there and openly say that I think caucus was wrong. Now, try to draw some examples, for example. Look at Parliament. The Speaker is there and presides over issues. Imagine they make a decision. Can the Speaker go out there and say, well, I disagreed with the decision that was made in Parliament? I don't think they can. Can, for example, if you are a member of, say, the Monetary Authority Board,
mm-hmm.
and the decision is made and announced, can any member there, whether it is a chairman or an ordinary member, should they go out there and say, I disagree with what the board decided and still continue on the board? I just don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and it breaches the whole it breaches the whole concept of collective responsibility.
Precisely, and that applies not just to cabinet, but I think it applies broadly to other bodies as well. That's why we put bodies together so that they can move together and at least publicly be able to support each other. Because now, imagine, for example, if every time a minister disagrees with caucus, they can come and disagree in Parliament. That will be a problem. Also, if it means that so long as it doesn't go to cabinet, then members of government can go to Parliament and say anything. Then they look like they are sloppy, like they are not discussing things before they go there. And, okay, look at it this way as well. The other issue that I think was raised was, well, but the matter was not that important. Maybe if it is important, you have to resign. But in my view, it is already very important if you think that it is important enough for you to publicly disagree. Okay, once you just do that, it is not good. Now, let me make a general point also about how government in the last 2 years has been made to look very bad. And I want to make this in a positive way because, look, Cayman just got off the grey list and so on, and you want that when government is achieving certain results, you want them to look good. But have they been looking good in the last 2 years? Look at what happened after the election. There was a changing of camps, allegations of inducements and people being pulled in this and that direction. That was sorted out. And then there was an attempt to have a no-confidence motion, which failed. And then there was a motion of confidence, which was moved by Mr. Seymour, who months later resigned, citing lackluster leadership. Okay? And then the Premier was known to have shown up at the scene of his accident, the accident of Mr. Seymour, months before, in a matter which was really inappropriate. And then when Mr. Seymour resigned, he said, well, there were two other people who were supposed to resign with me, but they didn't resign. It doesn't look very bad. I think that if the minister does not agree with his cabinet, whether it is in cabinet formally or in caucus, in my respectful view, he really must resign. And no amount of wearing of pink scarves the next day like a university sorority is going to sort that. Now, in conclusion...
So you think that it rises to the level where a resignation, is required?
I think it arises to that level, particularly when the Premier has not just gone public, but has gone to Parliament and made a statement to say he disagrees with his whole government. He just didn't disagree with the cabinet, but he disagreed with his backbenchers because all of them were in favor of the motion on pepper spray. Mm-hmm. He disagreed also with the opposition. It was 1 out of 18 people. In my view, when you reach that point, you really must leave. And now, what the members of Parliament must do, they must not continue talking about the Premier that he should resign and then do nothing. If they feel he should resign, they should write a letter, send it to the governor, sign it, all of them, and say that we believe we've got no confidence in the Premier. Otherwise, if they are just talking, what does that say about them as well? It means that then they are not... Yeah, that's a very important question that they have to answer. And I wish that Minister Bryan can address this.
He's right here, and I think he's attempting to hold on there, Billy.
Good morning, Billy. How you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Bryan. How are you this morning?
I am well. I'm here listening to your well thought out process as to the actions of us as members, the leader, and government as a whole. And you have some level of legitimate criticisms. Not all of them I agree with, but I'll try my best to explain it. I want you to stay on the line with me because the back and forth gives a bit of more clarity to the general public to understand these proceedings.
Yeah, why don't we just take a quick break? Yeah. And Billy, you can hang on, Billy?
Yes, please.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Sorry, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have our very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Honorable Kenneth, Bryan, Minister responsible for tourism and transport. And we have on the phone on the other end, Mr. Billy. Minister?
Yes, thank you so much. And good morning again, Billy. Good morning to the Cayman Islands. I am so sorry for my timing in the radio. I know we're very limited because we had to be finished by 10. But today's plan was only simply to listen. So I'm glad that before I even sat down in the hot seat, there was questions ready for me. And Billy, I think it's time for you to come home. Your expertise and knowledge could be used. I must say that though we don't always agree on every point, I think the country is so benefited by your examination, your critical thinking, and I wish I had you home because obviously I'm still an independent member and sitting with you and talking with you about my future politically as well as the whole country's future politically could always use your analysis. But like you would probably say to me, Kenneth, you know you can call me out all the times. Anyway,
yes, very kind.
That being said, so I want to specifically address your critique or your criticism, not necessarily meant in a negative capacity, but your criticisms of the process. So, and much of what you've said so far stem from a particular vote on the floor of the House where the Honorable Premier voted different than the rest of the members on the floor of the House. And I think your analysis is that I think you wasn't correct in saying that I pushed back on you. I think the Minister Ebanks pushed back on you because I remember listening to the show while I was traveling. So it wasn't me.
It was OC who pushed back on me.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but the good news is I kind of agreed with OC and the minister at the time, because the analysis that need to be made, and I think you try to go into it just now, is there's a difference between a vote in cabinet and a vote in caucus, and you've given your position that it does come off as if to say, we're lackluster, we're kind of all over the place. But one would agree that the final place for a decision is at the cabinet level. So you've had situations where the normal process is a paper goes to caucus, we have deliberations, and then it takes another 2 weeks before it goes to cabinet. And there's times where things change and positions change between the period of when we discuss it in caucus, new information comes to light, they've asked for further information, and then the paper could be tweaked. In most cases it doesn't, but it's not unlimited to that. So when it gets to cabinet is the final place, and that's where you're held to account from a collective responsibility perspective to say, this is the final position now, and if you take it, therefore you are obligated to stick to it. So I would agree with OC and anybody else who made the comment that if something has not gone to cabinet, the collective responsibility in principle cannot be held. Now, does it make us look mature in our political process? I would say that it makes us look that we are not as mature in our handlings, but that's a criticism that is justified, in my humble opinion, with a new approach to politics with the independent grouping, as well as the leader's capabilities. And I give him the benefit of the doubt. So let's talk about the other part, which is it's a motion.
Can I just briefly,
yes, please.
Briefly respond on that, just very briefly. You see, Cabinet cannot go to Parliament without having a position on a private member's motion. That is a very important principle of Cabinet government. Remember, this is not a presidential system where the president has his own mandate. When you go to Parliament, people expect that whether the matter went to Cabinet or not, those are internal things. They expect that when you go to Cabinet, to Parliament, the public expects that as government you have discussed the motion and you have taken a position. Now, if, for example, the Premier had gone out there and said what he said, but the rest of you said nothing, and we didn't know what happened behind, that was different. But where you also, all the 18 members, government and outside, and the government and opposition came out and disagreed with him openly, that makes it look particularly bad. It goes to the core of how government is organized. That's my response to that little bit.
Okay, well, I'm going to counteract you just a little bit there. And you're right. Again, we're talking about how things look. And this talks about our level of maturity from our democracy. And I'm not talking about only this administration. I'm talking about past administrations as well. Because as a former member of opposition, many times government would come not in a collective position in respect to going to cabinet and deciding what that motion's position is going to be. That's common. That's convention here in Cayman. Now, whether that should be the way it is or how it is done in the UK, where a motion comes to a floor of Parliament and cabinet considers it, so it's obligatory of all cabinet ministers, then we can criticize us all for that, not only this administration. So I'll say this, that the motion upon which our criticism is being examined was not something that was brought to cabinet level for discussion. Again, I'll take the criticism as to say whether Cayman's political process is mature enough to start getting to that stage. But again, it's not only this administration.
Quick question there. Were you aware of the private member's motion before going to Parliament?
Correct. Yes, we were. So we did have discussions about the matter. It didn't have a conclusion that had to go to cabinet because it's not convention that we do here. So with that being said, the other part that you've failed to acknowledge so the public can understand is a vote of conscience that was allowed to all members. So without that principle logic in place, the public may think that we're in disagreement. But because we couldn't get agreement, the option by the Premier to allow persons to vote their own feelings is allowed. Now, again...
So was that done in this particular case?
It was.
Because there was we never ever got any indication that was the case, even with all the criticisms.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think... obviously, the Honourable Leader will take his comments whenever he chooses to, and that's not my place to do that. But I'm telling you that we did discuss it because I had just traveled back the day before, and I asked the Honourable Premier, I said, did we discuss the number of motions coming? He said yes, and then we had, throughout the break of the Parliament, we did go into caucus again there in the building, and we rehashed some of them because you can still see that things needed to be tightened up, and I want to give respect to my leader by saying that we did talk about them, and then people hold strong positions about it, and then the decision was, okay, everybody vote their conscience, and the conscience showed you what the vote was, which is as a result of the debate, the emotions associated with it, that the Honorable Premier took one position and everybody else took a different position. Now, does it look good? No, of course not. But I don't want it to make it seem like the process of our democracy was cheated in any way. Can we be better as a government and be more organized and better structured? Yes, but you can say that about any administration. And I must say this: I've learned a lot as a cabinet minister over the last 2 years, and about leadership, what it takes, and how to compromise and how to work with members. You have a lot of strong personalities within our group. I have a strong personality myself, and most people know that. And I hold my viewpoint. I represent the people of this country, and I'm willing to say my piece. And that is sometimes even difficult for the Premier to manage how many strong personalities he has, and he has to use the rules and conventions available to make sure that the order is there. And sometimes he gets a bad name because he is just being as lenient as he possibly can, because he's a new leader as well. He hasn't had as much experience in the leadership role as others. Remember, he was a minister one term before. And no matter how smart or how amazing a person may be, the skill set for leadership is one that is born over time. And I want to give him credit. He's been very delicate with me in respect to compromising many times when I think that things should be what it should be. And I think sometimes he gets too much criticisms in certain areas. Could he improve in others? Of course. But you can say that about any person. So
can I just make two quick comments on
yes.
that? You've covered quite a bit of area. One, legally speaking, it is not the Premier who gives members of cabinet a free vote, because this is not a presidential system.
I disagree with you there. I disagree with you there. The cabinet cannot give the cap if something hasn't. Sorry, let me not interrupt you. Let me make you finish. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah. You see, because it is a cabinet system, there should be a decision of cabinet saying, well, this matter should go to a free vote. Why? Because the executive power in a constitutional system, as in the Cayman Islands, is vested in cabinet. There is no specific power that he has to give a free vote. That is because the executive power is vested in cabinet. That's the first point. Second point is just a question. Is this now a precedent that whenever you go to caucus, and if one person disagrees with caucus, they can go to parliament and disagree with caucus openly, if this did not take place in cabinet? Is this now an acceptable precedent? Those are my 2 points.
Okay, let me try to deal with the latter one first. One is that if there hasn't been a formal cabinet position taken, then I guess ultimately you haven't gotten to the final stage of any one position. So technically, yes. Does it look right? No. And again, this is about how strong your administration looks collectively. And again, a group of independent members coming together. These are some of the areas that needs to be strengthened in order for us to be credible continuously, right? But when you speak of the first point of a cabinet system, you're talking about conventionally in the United Kingdom. One thing about the Cayman Islands, and I'm very happy to say this about the previous members fighting so hard for our own control of our parliament, is because the UK do certain things. That doesn't necessarily mean that we do certain things. So you're suggesting that because it's done a discussion in caucus in the United Kingdom, and there hundreds of years of growth and maturity in the parliamentary process, that we are finding our own way. And yes, this will over time come to be the norm of expectation, and it has a lot to do with party politics too, where you're dictated to and you have to fall in line. And the conventions itself is not about the person's name that you pick, but the party upon which they are in. So when you speak of conventionally and constitutionally and the cabinet system, we have our own unique process as well. And the comparison that you're using is the UK process. Yes, it's our system is based on that, but it's not exactly to that because we don't have a Senate, we don't have an upper house and a lower house, so we have our own unique systems as well. I think most of this has to do with our own display as a government, showing strength and agreement amongst each other, because you always want to be seen as a unified group. Now, a government could be terribly disjointed or in disagreement, but the public never knows. So which one is it? Is it because we know that this group sometimes don't agree on everything and the truth is out there? Or would it be better if we were blinded and say, oh, what a beautiful government. They're so wonderful. They're all organized, but inside they're tearing apart. I believe that from a transparency perspective, you know that it's not going to be just follow the leader in this administration. And I think that's a level of something credit you should be given to this administration.
Billy, thank you very much. We have to go to our headline news. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Cayman National Festival Pirates Week kicks off today, and absent from the November lineup are the traditional District Heritage Days. Organizers say due to time and budget constraints, those events have had to be cut. For more information, head to piratesfestcayman.com. The U.S. Secretary of State has reiterated the country's support for Israel, but says everything must be done to protect, quote, civilians caught in the crossfire of Hamas's making. He's currently in Israel for meetings with leaders there and the war cabinet. He will also visit Jordan as he seeks to avert an escalation of the war. Meanwhile, the leader of the Lebanese Islamist group Hezbollah is due to give a speech which will be closely watched. Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran and considered a terrorist group in the UK and the US, has been intensifying attacks on northern Israel from Lebanon. Israel's army says it is on, quote, very, very high alert on the border and has warned Hezbollah of a response of, quote, unimaginable magnitude if it decides to join the war. About 100 British nationals are on the list of people approved to leave Gaza today. The family of Scotland's First Minister have just been allowed out. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
I'm Liani Tibbetts, Miss World Cayman Islands 2022, and I need your help to keep Cayman clean. When you're out and about, please dispose of your trash in the proper containers. Do not throw trash out of your car or leave it on our beaches. And if you see litter, take a moment to pick it up and dispose of it properly.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, who's the Minister with responsibility for tourism and transport and we do have a caller before we go to the caller. This person wants to wish Miss Tosca Seymour over in the Department of Labor and Pensions happy birthday today, wishing her many, many more, and for her to enjoy today her birthday to the fullest as well. So that is Miss Tosca Seymour at the Department of Labor and Pensions.
I just want to double down on that. That's
sure.
my sister. So happy birthday, sis.
Okay. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Orrett.
Yes, good morning, sir.
And good morning to the Honorable Minister, Mr. Kenneth Bryan.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, concerning work permits. And concerning bringing people into our country and on our 3 islands from countries when it comes to crime and serious crime, a lot of the crime that has been going on in their countries are unsolved. So there's a possibility we might be bringing people into our country who may not have a police record, but might have done some serious crimes in their country and got away with it.
Agreed.
Especially from one certain country. I notice too much of anything not good for you, and we have too much of them around here. Okay? So we cannot forget. Listen, let me talk. We cannot forget what happened to Estella Scott Roberts. Thank you very much.
So, caller, before you go, what's the answer to it? If they may have committed a crime, right, but have not been charged, have not been convicted, how do we get around that? How do we know? I mean, sometimes we hear people say, I see this such and such a person on the streets of the Cayman Islands. How in the world did they get here and we knew that they committed a crime, somewhere else?
I agree with you, OC, in respect to the difficulty, but we know that there's a reality that can happen, and how do we manage it? And it's very hard to manage, but I think I want to support the caller's viewpoint that there's a level of concern with the crime increasing. It's something that is on my radar that I'm really unhappy about. There's this whole robberies and shooting and stuff is just happening too often, man. Too often. And I say that from my community's sake, but also from the Minister of Tourism's perspective. One of the biggest things that we have selling for us is our safety, and it's getting out of hand. So I ask myself my question, there's only 2 types of people who commit crime in this country in disrespect from immigration perspective. Is either you're Caymanian or you're not Caymanian. And in 2 situations, the ones that are not Caymanian, we need to find them, get rid of them. The second ones, which are Caymanian, we need to find out why they're doing it and assist them to either, one, find them guilty of the crime, and if we can't do that, make sure we put them in a position they never have to commit a crime. 90% of the crimes that are committed are financially related. And I think sometimes some of the crimes that are being committed, particularly around whether it's drugs or gambling or illegal activity, are associated with finances. And I think this is a reflection of our lack of focus on our people to ensure that they don't have to live a life of crime associated with financial earnings. And I have always said this, right? I came from the streets, for lack of better words, and I know what some of my peers, past peers, the next generation, I see them, I identify with what world they're living in, and it's usually due to having some sort of income in a black market. And if you gave them the opportunity, and I said this in my campaign in 2013, I don't know any marijuana seller on the side of the road that if had a decent job making $3,000 a month would rather be on the corner of the side of the road selling marijuana for police to chase them every day, for their parents to be worried about whether they're going to be locked up or whether some other drug dealer is going to come steal from them. And I'm just using that as one example. I'm saying that we need to go out, identify persons who are vulnerable to be sucked into this black market and danger zone for financial means. And it's even better you just pay them. And obviously, by all means, we don't need to do that, but it's almost more sensible to find work for them so they don't have to spend the money in the court system and under a prison system, on the policing system, because the cost-benefit analysis outweighs what we're doing right now. And sometimes we as a society are not as forgiving to persons who have made mistakes. And I am one prime example of that. And I'm thankful to the good people of Georgetown Central who have known that I had my difficult past as a young Caymanian and said, you know what, that's not going to be my future. And I'm here today as a leader in this country. And I think we need to take that as a holistic approach as a government and say, prioritize some monies, not for a building, not for some sort of structure, but more so about programs where we get our young Caymanians particularly, and even if you're older, who's in this world, and say, listen, I'm going to create an opportunity for you. I want you to stay away from that life. And that's how I say you reduce it. But I get the caller's point.
Minister, this morning I shared with our audience the Ministry of Education and that TVET program. So, you know, those things are out there. But let's say some person is convicted of a crime. The courts, the judge repquire or request a social inquiry report. So that is where at least the judicial system gets the opportunity to look to see what that person's particular circumstances are. But when you get the repeat offenders, the revolving door, like for instance, break-in of automobiles, it is almost like it is seasonal. So you get the feeling that when it isn't happening, that means that the person is locked away. And when they're out. So we have to separate those, because there are, we have to also recognize the fact that some of those persons simply can't be redeemed.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you credit there, right? But I'll say this. The system is also failing. I'm going to give you an example. I have a cousin who's been in and out of prison for 30 years from a juvenile. Both him and I went to Bonaventure together. And we had our own difficulties being raised up and difficult circumstances. He unfortunately went down that road, and he's been in and out of prison, He was released from Northward after a number of years without a place to stay, no money, no job prospect. And the expectation is, after going through the prison system for 30 years, right, that he's just going to come out in society and just get into a job, nowhere to sleep. If anybody wants to do a social science study here, try sleeping or have nowhere to sleep just for 3 days. Nowhere to sleep, no money in your pocket, and no prospect of what tomorrow may bring. Right? Because remember now, this is a person who's been in prison in and out for 30 years. Where's your resume? Caymanians having good problems right now getting a job with a university master's degree, much less a prisoner for 30 years. So what do you think crawls into the mind of a person like that? And I said to myself, I tried to call social services to get him help. Social services don't have homes to give him. So even if he was to be approved, where to find a house for him, which is a number of different problems that we're having, right? But I said to myself, what have we have failed him by letting him out of prison, or even not planning to say, okay, his release date is on X date. 6 months from now, let's start putting together a strategy that he's not put in a vulnerable.
Should we have some sort of a halfway house, like similar to what we have for drug offenses and those persons, who are seeking to clean themselves up?
Is the simple answer, and unfortunately sometimes that doesn't happen.
We have a caller on hold, but I think what we're going to do, Miss Susan, let's take the commercial break first. This way we won't have to interrupt the caller to go to the break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Cayman Islands, clear your calendars because something extraordinary is coming your way. Ignite the Fire, hosted by Christ for All Nations, is roaring into the Lions Center from November 29th to December 3rd. Join us for an epic worship and gospel event, a monumental move of God that will transform lives and reveal destinies. Don't miss this 5-night, once-in-a-generation experience. Be a part of history in the making. Ignite the Fire, Cayman. Mark your date, November 29th to December 3rd at 6:30 p.m. nightly, and get ready for an unforgettable spiritual journey that will set your heart ablaze. Cayman and you will never be the same again.
Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Minister Bryan in the studio with us. We have lots of WhatsApp messages, questions as well. We're going to try to cover as many as possible. Meanwhile, we do have a caller and hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being so patient.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning.
And good morning, Honorable Minister Bryan.
Good morning, Doc. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Good to hear your voice, sir.
Yes. Minister, I'm glad you came on this morning taking calls and answering WhatsApp messages, but the show is too short.
Yes, I agreed. But I'll be back, I promise.
You need more time. And perhaps as Minister, you probably could speak to the people who are in charge of Radio Cayman and try to expand the show.
Well, I'm going to put it out there now. I don't know if management is listening, but I would hope that if they can potentially give me an extra 15 minutes today. So, Susan, if you can make that call for me, I would really appreciate it while we're listening. Go ahead, Dr. Matthew.
Fair enough.
Yes, there's so much to talk about, but what I agree with you on is the last point you made about the prison system. I would like to share with you sometime when I see you again, the whole prison system as related to by Max Weber. Max Weber was a famous German sociologist, and he studied the whole idea of crime, prison, and rehabilitation. And he started with what happens in a society where certain people are marginalized. And he studied what happened in East London and East New York. And he says that the statistics showed that in those jurisdictions, in those places, the people that came from those areas had a higher certificate of prison and crime than the people who came in from West London and West New York. And he wanted to know why was that. So he made a study. And then what he found was something, and I am putting it simply now and quickly because I know we don't have a lot of time. What he found was that in East London, a boy who would be riding his bicycle, say without a light or without a license on it, would be arrested by the police, taken into court, and then the whole criminal system would be turned against him.
Yep.
But what he found in West London and West New York, where people had a better income and came from a better income and had better social activities and social programs, if a boy was riding his bicycle and without light, the policeman would probably stop him, ask him where he lived, put the bicycle in the back of the police car, and take him home and tell his parents not to do it again.
Yep.
That is a study that he made. That's no different from Cayman. We have never actually had a modern prison. We had what they call a lockup, a jail. If you come to my new office up on the second floor in one of these beaches where I have a whole history and photographs of how the systems begin and how it started with all the old prison houses, the policemen that existed at the time, and the whole system. Anyway, what has happened is there's no post prison activities in Cayman to help people. There are a lot of activities pre-prison. There's the police investigation. There's the prosecution. There's all the money spending to get you convicted.
Yep.
And when you get convicted, then they say that prisons that rehabilitation. That is not true. It's a lie.
I agree with you.
You are there, locked away from the world. They don't even the activities that they had 10, 12 years ago. They don't have them anymore. The prisoners are not doing any work. They're not doing any scales. They're just sitting around prison waiting or thinking about how they are going to survive when they come out of prison. There's no post-prison activities to rehabilitate to help them. That's the problem that we have. Now, that problem can be solved. I keep saying this all the time. There's a provision in the Constitution that says that a premier, I'm not saying this premier, a premier can go to the governor and say, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Governor, you have the prison system and the police, all of those things on your portfolio. Give them to a minister to operate. And this has been done before when Governor Smith gave Dr. Frank McPhail the prison to run. It didn't go good because Frank had no idea about how to run a prison. But we who are paying for all the money for the police and the prison, we're not getting the results that we desire because the prison is not a place just to lock people up. Half of it is deterrent, and the other half is rehabilitation.
Agreed.
And we're not
doing either, to be honest with you.
on the rehabilitation side. Yeah. And so we expect someone who's locked away from society, who has no skills, 10, 12, 13 years, and then they come out and he's ignored. He like you say, he has no resume, he has no skills, and they expect him then to toe the line and to get back into the system that rejects him, and then we criticize him and say no or her, and we say, oh, look what happened. That system has to be changed. We have to start spending money on our people to rehabilitate them and to put them back into a position where they can sustain their life.
Correct.
The other thing I would like to speak to you about is a point Mr. Billy made, and I think you made the points in reply. One of the problems that we've had in Cayman is that although we have adopted the British parliamentary system of government, the Westminster system of government, it's like a woman who's only half pregnant.
Yeah.
we only adopted half of it.
Yeah.
And we need to adopt it wholly.
Yes.
And solely, and so that it works.
Yeah. Correct.
And you as a young politician, and you're very bright and very smart, I think that you ought to start thinking about that with your colleagues. It's not enough to say, well, we're different, so forth. If we adopted it, it can only be successful when we adopt it wholly and solely and implement the conventions of the British system of constitutional government and so forth. Because you cannot have things happening and what happened before, and then you have confidence in the populace, have confidence in them and the MPs to say, we're operating 100%. We have to have all of those conventions implemented in the system of government so that when you go to Parliament, when you go to caucus, when you go to cabinet, everything works.
Doc,
Agreed.
Thank you very much for that, Doc. If I could just, especially the last point that you were that Doc just mentioned there in relation to that, we spoke earlier about whether or not there was a vote of conscience that was allowed. If that were the case, and not doubting you in any way, but if that were the case, why wasn't it announced in Parliament, not that it was necessary, in Parliament by the Premier to say, on this particular issue, I have released my ministers from the concept of collective responsibility and given them the opportunity or the choice, of voting their conscience on this particular thing. Because when you earlier you said something to the effect that the motions were discussed, the Premier took a position and other members took a different position. Now, after those two differing positions were recognized, was there agreement then to say that we are going to go down to Parliament and this is going to be the way that we're going to vote? And was there an official release from the collective responsibility?
Well, I'm going to respond in this capacity to say that official and non-official is subjective to whether you think cabinet is the final say or not. And again, remember now, none of these motions were brought to cabinet.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about cabinet. I'm talking about caucus.
Yeah. Okay, so official release can only be subject to cabinet because cabinet is where your collective responsibility is held. Conventionally, it may be perceived on the Westminster system. And
wait now. Remember, the Constitution says collective responsibility to the legislature as well, to the Parliament. You're collectively responsible to the Parliament as well.
No, only if a cabinet position has been taken. So you if there's not a cabinet position, and say I'll give you an example. What if a member brings an emergency motion on the floor of the House as per the standing orders allows you to? You haven't had caucus or cabinet. You will have a caucus. A caucus is a gathering of the elected members to make a decision. So that's why I'm saying to you when you say
elected members of a particular group.
Yes,
grouping.
Correct. A government, independent grouping, whatever, however you want to put that grouping together. So it's not subject to specifically to caucus, in my humble opinion. And again, the leader will take charge in his own respect. If the leader of the time says, nope, I'm leading this way, and I want the caucus to be solid or solidified in this particular way, and it's a matter of messaging. He could have said, listen, I'm allowing all persons to make their own decision in this respect, or releasing them from collective responsibility. It wouldn't even be releasing from collective responsibility. At least this is my viewpoint, saying the vote of allowing them to vote their own conscience, right? Just to give the spirit of education and understanding what happened in Parliament to the public. Because power is kept by the willing to follow. So if you have a leader, and the question that we keep on asking, some members, rightfully or wrongfully, in your own opinion, saying that the Premier should step down or the Premier should resign. If the members are still willing to stand beside him, then he still has support. And we have to remember that point. If there was members who felt so overwhelmed by it, they said, I've had enough and I'm gone, then he's lost his support. But the decisions were made, and it's not decisions that have surmounted to the point where they can no longer operate. We're operating, we're running the country still. Our ministers are doing their job, we're fixing and dealing with the budget, and we have a budget to deal with. So I think that I try to understand where the angles are coming from, and whether the Premier could have said, I'm allowing everybody to vote their own viewpoint. Maybe this would be a moot point today. But what I want the public to know is that we have agreed that there was not a cabinet position taken. We have agreed that we've heard the arguments on the floor of the House from both sides about this, and this was about the pepper spray for women, right? And his argument was, from a principal perspective, he doesn't want to go down that road of more arms. But ultimately, democracy rules in that case in Parliament on the support of the motion. But a motion is only to consider. So we could have all said, you know.
But the motion is a motion to consider, but for whom to consider?
For the government government to consider.
And where would you consider that?
You'd consider it in law.
But
by changing the law.
In what venue?
In Parliament, I mean, in caucus, in cabinet, you mean?
Yeah. So eventually, that's going to, go full circle and come back to cabinet.
I agree, but let's not.
And then you would have a same situation where, all of the members support it, and the premier.
Because this can work in reverse. This could be the other thing where I remember the other day I had a support for all members to do a referendum on a particular bill. We all supported it in Parliament. Hasn't got back to cabinet yet. So this can work against in the other way as well. So I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying that things can change in respect to one discussion to the other until it becomes final. And bear in mind, I quickly want to say this, that the last administration had agreed plenty of motions, and not a one of them saw the light of cabinet or Parliament ever again. So again, talking about convention and what happens in Cayman as opposed to the traditional conventional Westminster system is different. And I want to close by saying this, that Dr. McFeel is right. We can't have a half-pregnant situation. Right?
Yeah, can be a little bit pregnant. Okay, we're going to take the commercial break. When we return, one of our listeners has written and said, good morning to you and your panel. Minister Bryan has erected billboards calling for immigration reform now. Immigration reform means different things to different people. Minister Bryan, can you please explain what your vision is for immigration reform, its impact, and implementation? With that, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual-specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration with store-wide savings. Save on appliances, faucets, tubs, toilets, shower doors, vanities, kitchen cabinets, custom closets, and more. Starting Monday, November 6th, save 30%. Monday, November 13th, the savings will drop to 20%. And Monday, November 20th, they will drop to 10%. It pays to shop early and save more. Brand Source Home Gallery 54th birthday celebration savings on now through November 25th. Dorsey Drive Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more details.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
International Diabetes Federation records reflect 6.1 adults aged 20 to 79 years old in the Cayman Islands live with diabetes. 537 million adults the world over live with diabetes. November is World Diabetes Awareness Month. November 14th is World Diabetes Awareness Day, marking the birthday of Dr. Frederick Banting, the insulin co-discoverer. We, Rotary Central, along with the Health Services Authority, invite you to a free health screening: blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure, hemoglobin, A1C, BMI, and free physician's consultation. Saturday, November 4th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Two convenient locations: A.L. Thompson's Georgetown, cost you less, Governor Square, West Bay Road. Mark this date that could change your life for better. Rotary Health Check, Saturday, November 4th. Rotary, creating hope in the world.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight through now until 10 o'clock, but the show will have to end at 10 because there are other commitments at 10 o'clock. I noticed that I've received several WhatsApp messages in terms of people trying to call in as well. And I can tell you from now, we won't be able to accommodate everyone, but we're going to try to accommodate as many as possible. We're going to ask each caller, please be as brief as possible. We do have a caller on the WhatsApp number. Let's grab that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Ms. Susan, the WhatsApp caller.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, ma'am.
And good morning, Mr. Bryan.
Good morning, ma'am.
Two things. I'll try to do it very, very quickly. Discussing the requirements for a work permit and the police record. This is a question. I don't know if it's possible, but a person might not yet have a criminal record, but the person could very well be investigated or under suspicion of a crime. Is it some way that the requirement form could change, that could be included? So, like I said, they mightn't have a criminal record yet, but they might very well have one in the next 3 months or so. But if the police record is still clean at that stage, of course, it would be given, it would be a clean slate. But if you change the requirements to include, whether the person is, like in America, they say a person of interest, I think under the British law, they say a suspect or possibly
if the person has been arrested, maybe.
Or arrested, or mightn't even be arrested yet, but they're quietly investigating that person.
That would be difficult. Yeah, that would be difficult. That would be really, really prejudicial.
Okay, like I say, it's just a question.
Sure.
As part of the screening, Anyway, and the other question is directed to you, Mr. Bryan. I'd spoken to you some time ago about a matter, and you promised that you were going to get back to me or have someone come back to me on it, and I haven't heard a word since the day you and I spoke. So
you want to remind me? I'm so sorry. I do apologize. These things do happen, though, and forgive me if you can. In respect to that, you want to remind me now, or would you want to take it off the record?
Well, I can remind you. I don't have to go into the details, but it was an incident. I'm sorry. It was an incident.
Oh, with
on
Cayman
Cayman
Airways.
Airways.
Yes. I did ask about it. I haven't had any response. And if you're okay, I wouldn't mind just giving a quick briefing to the public in respect to it. It has to do with dietary needs and allergies. Our policy within Cayman Airways to ensure that communication is given and made the public aware as to anybody can have an allergy. In this particular case, peanuts can cause death to persons, and we got to be mindful of.
Let me just interrupt you for a second there.
Yes.
I notice that everybody keeps dwelling on peanuts. Let me just say, as a person that suffers from many allergies, people can be allergic to anything. And two people can be allergic to the same thing but have a completely different reaction. And that, I think, is the point that is being missing. And secondly, my concern is, are the flight attendants and pilots or whomever's responsible, are they being trained and educated on these things? Because I can tell you, it is my impression, and I say this based on the reactions that I get and also with what happened to me, I don't think they are. And if they are, clearly they are ignoring it.
Well, Ms. Brenda, I want to give you the commitment again today to ensure. Oh, sorry. I was just saying I want to give you the commitment again today that I will have somebody from Cayman Airways call you directly and make sure that your voice is heard appropriately, and for them to give me an assessment as to what is the training. I did send it down to get an inquiry, and I must say I haven't followed up since we spoke. But I didn't. I'll make sure somebody speaks to you, because it's important that you know, because you're the person who have been experiencing it. By all means, it is a concern. Anybody could be having an allergy, and we got to make sure that our staff is trained. So I want you to leave me with that, if that's okay.
Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller, but before we go to the caller, I want to give you the opportunity. So we have the one about the billboards and immigration, and then the transport report.
Correct.
Those were some that came in first, so we want to get those out of the way. We're going to have the caller hold for a second.
All right. So when I was driving in, listening to the show, you had asked about what's the status with the transportation report. It's been over 6 months, I think you said, the text.
And then I think they mentioned something about the cost being $200,000, and they believe now that it may be over that since it's 6 months overdue.
Well, I can say that, for one, it's important to note that the transportation responsibilities are no longer under me for a while now. I think it was February. This transition happened. It was the time when the former Deputy Premier left our administration, the Honourable Christopher Saunders. So from then, the transport component was transferred to the Honourable Minister J.E. Banks. I am aware that he has submitted the final report to us in caucus and has intentions to release it to the public soon. I'm not sure if it's this week or next week, and I don't want to speak out of turn. I would rather leave it to him to do that, but I know it's completed and it hasn't cost more than what was stated. In respect to the billboards and the signs, what I've put up, and yes, the sign that says immigration reform now to protect our people, to protect our country, is an initiative that I put forward. But I think it's important that we recognize a couple of things. Firstly, we have a new minister, and I think he should be given the legitimate amount of time to come back to the public as to what his positions are on many of the sensitive areas in respect to immigration reform. Most people know that how I feel about this area, because it has so much elements of effect on many things that our people are facing today. And me saying what my individual position would be unfair to him until we've had a proper caucus discussion on the many areas that it's touching. So with that being said, I would like to say that recognizing some of the problems that we're having and where there is a justified call for reform. For example, immigration, most people think only about, status and rights, but it has to do with work permits, which has to do with labor. So when you think about immigration and its reform, I want you to put it into two categories. One is the categories of ownership and control and voting rights and being able to live here for a very long time. And the other one is the ability to work here and live here under the work permit system. So there's two different systems, right? And that's why we have the work permit board and the Cayman status and residency board, and in between the Cayman business staffing board, right? So they're separated in different categories. Now, obviously, I think it's fair to say that we recognize there is a growing population of persons who are outside laborers who are working in the country. There's been concerns about many people getting work permits who don't gonna work, and you see them on the road and they're doing other illegal activities and all these other things. I want to see more strength there. I see many Caymanians who are applying for jobs and not getting them, and I've seen examples of where they're qualified in their own right and still not getting the opportunity. So there's something going on in respect to our better opportunity to strengthen that system to ensure that Caymanians get the job opportunities. That's why when I say reform, we need to do better at that. So there should be no Caymanian. In a perfect world, there should be no Caymanian who's qualified, and even if they only have a limited amount of experience, should be given the opportunity. So the relationship with government and private sector owners and business owners and the community has to be better. We have to have that understanding that we're all in this together, and when we win as Caymanians, you win as business owners, because when Caymanians can't eat and can't survive, then other problems come along, like what we're seeing in recent times. So that's the labor component. Now we have the other side of immigration, which is the control of our country's future through ownership as well as voting rights. Because if we are so loose in our ability to give Caymanian status and give away our birthright, if we don't be more selective, I'm not saying that we don't want to welcome people here who have given commitment here, but I think it's justified to say we can be a little bit more selective, and that's my viewpoint. So that goes into parliamentary control, because if you increase more what you call indigenous Caymanians who have a particular viewpoint on social behavior, social acceptance, and so forth. If you have more non-indigenous Caymanians to our rules, cultures, and principles that are voters than you have indigenous Caymanians, you can see a change in culture in our legislation. And that's where you get things implemented in your society that you go, hold on, that's not Cayman. Yeah, well, it's now Cayman now because we've given away so much rights. I want to just add the last point to it, which is cost of services to public sector. Government, you've heard this article recently about the major cost to schools and payments because permanent residents and new Caymanians, and that the cost is going through the roof. And that's another reason to be more selective, because we can't keep up with the time. Healthcare costs, NEU costs, all of these other factors. So I believe there's justification and enough issues to have a holistic reform. Now, I'll leave it there because I want to respect the minister enough to say you have been selected as the leader on behalf of the government to go forward with new reforms. Let's discuss them in caucus and come back to the people. And I think he should be given the time to do that.
Okay, we do have a caller on WhatsApp, Ms. Susan. Let's grab the call, and I think there might be a voice note on there as well. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, is that me?
Yes, it is. Go right ahead.
Oh, it's nice hearing you guys this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. And hearing my minister on.
Oh, is that who that is? Hi, good morning, Amira.
I'm calling to speak on behalf of my minister. Yeah, that is me. Kenny, as on behalf of me and my committee members, I am blessed to be a member of your committee. And I want to speak this morning to say, I'm going to be quick, OC. I'm not going to take up a lot of time.
Thank you.
I want to say a big thank you to Kenneth. You know, since I've been on his committee, I want to say that it's only those that see and know a lot of what is happening on the inside and what is going on that know the stress that not just the government of today, the stress that what all of our governments go through, what they have to endure. I mean, for instance, OC, there is people that know the government payday better than them.
That's true.
The offices are full. I mean, it is just, I don't know how they do it. And I mean, this is not just those that are in the government now, like I said. I do not know how every one of them in the House, I do not know how they do it.
Love of country, love of country.
Let me tell you, OC, I couldn't take that job for $1 million a week. I admire them, and I want to say this morning a big thank you to Kenneth, the rest of his government, and the opposition. I want to say a big thank you for what you all do for our country. One thing I want to stress this morning, that I pray and I hope that the government, our government of today, do something, just something to wow the whole Cayman Islands and to the areas. Kenneth, you know what I'm talking about? The areas that people in this country are currently hurting on, because there is a lot of people that are hurting right now. There is a lot of people that don't have. There is a lot of people that go to NAU for help, but it is so much red tape they have to go through that sometimes they just say forget it, and then this turns into depression. It turns into people wanting to take their own lives. Yeah. It just turning into a lot of things. And you guys know where the people are hurting most. It's coming up. I know that a lot of people is going to be losing their homes, because you imagine if you were paying $2,000 and now you have to pay $3,000 or $3,500, and you have no extra income. What? I wonder what those people, how they are doing it. I have a nephew in that position. I have a very good friend in that position. Their mortgage gone up $1,000, no extra income. They're just barely scraping it. What for them to do? Oh my gosh, we need something to help these people, even if it's in one area. Just wow, the needed Caymanians, the indigenous Caymanians that are hurting right now. Can I honestly, I applaud you for the hard work that you do. To God, I pray for you every day, you and your family, because I don't know how you do it.
Thank you.
It's only the grace of God. Anyway, thank you. OC, are you
Thank you very much, caller.
Sterling today?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay, I won't have to bring you to the meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
One of our listeners wanted to know about the beach vending situation.
Yes. Okay. First, I want to say thank you to my committee member, Omiro, so much for calling in and our continued support, and all my committee members. But as you can see, and this is what I love about my committee, right? It's not no follow the leader. She puts the pressure on, and whenever we meet my office, and usually do that at least once or twice a month, once a month or at least once every 2 months, to get a status update on where things are. And the pressure comes on and says, what are you doing? I remember one day they actually ordered me to say, you better get the premier in here and come answer our questions. So I had to summons the premier to come down to speak to my committee. And I thank him so much for giving them audience. But she's right. There are serious pains that our people are going through, and I don't think psychologically we're understanding, because Caymanians are very proud people. So we hold it all in. And holding it in, people will go into depression, or their blood pressure will go up, they'll get sick, all these other factors, because we're quiet people. And the people who are not quiet are usually the ones who are not traditionally Caymanian, and they'll shout and scream and say, I need help, I need help. And then they will get the help, because, they say the pig that squeals is the one that gets the meat. And I honestly agree. I wish that I had more say than the one out of the government that I do have to dictate where we are going with respect to this. I personally think that we should just be focusing on the cost of living. That's it, period. Everything else can be delayed. That if I ultimately had my best way, but I don't. And I just want to say thank you so much to her for calling in. I love her, and I love my committee, and I appreciate all the work that you do. I think you were going to ask a question.
We're gonna try to squeeze one more caller in. I'm going to ask the caller to please be brief because we don't have a whole lot of time left. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I agree with that last caller there about the importance of focusing on people who are struggling tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's a difficult topic, and it needs to be a public discussion about it because it is a serious matter, and a lot of people are going to get hurt because of the circumstances in the world today. But that's not the main reason why I called. I want to revert to the conversation about the collective responsibility and say that this is not a matter of whether we have a half-pregnant system or not. This is a matter of constitutional provision. Section 44(3) of the Constitution has enacted for the Cayman Islands collective responsibility as it exists in the United Kingdom. So, right? So we're not talking about our system being different from theirs. They have legislated for us what they do, in far as collective responsibility is concerned. And so what that means is that you can't go to caucus and make a decision because it is cabinet who has the responsibility to make decisions. Yeah. And but secondly, that also means that you can't, because the default position is collective responsibility, it means that unless cabinet makes a decision to change the default position from that of collective responsibility to conscience, then collective responsibility exists.
Fair enough. I agree with that.
If I'm understanding what you said before, is that the decision was made in caucus, and it wasn't done in cabinet because it was a private member's motion. But what that effectively means is that cabinet went to parliament without having made a decision about what it's going to do, whether it's going to support, not support.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said that we discussed it, and there was an agreement that persons would be released to make their own decision. That's what I said. So we did caucus, and if you're right to say we had to convert to collective responsibility, even though we didn't go to cabinet, even if that was the case, I'm saying that we had agreed that it would be okay for each person to make their own decision. Now, granted, this is not a minister who went against what the premier said. This is a premier who didn't go with what the majority had viewly said. So one would think this. If it was something where that they wasn't okayed to vote the way they wanted to vote, that we would have asked the premier, hold on, we all agreed to this and you should step down. So you must accept that there was agreement amongst members that it's okay for him to have his decision and it's okay for us to have our decision, because we would have held him to account just as much as he would held his ministers to account. I think that's just my humble opinion, but I see where it could be confusing, but nobody has said anything from within our group to say, oh, this is terrible because we agreed to this and this wasn't what we were supposed to do. There was none of that.
Can I finish my
Yes, so sorry, Denny. Sorry about that.
What I'm saying to you is that in the Constitution, the UK legislation, which is what we call the Constitution here.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that either, but okay.
No, this is made in the House.
We're running out of time, so we need you to get your point across real quick, caller.
Yes, well, I was trying to, but he
okay.
Cut me off. But the point I'm making is that it is constitutional law that the body who has responsibility for making decisions, go and read it, Section 44 of the Constitution, is cabinet, not caucus. And so what that means is you can sit in caucus and you can say whatever you want to say. But if you don't go to cabinet and make the decision, it wasn't made. And what I'm saying is collective responsibility exists until you say no, it should be free conscience in cabinet, not in caucus.
Yeah, so that means that nobody was wrong in their vote because the discussion in cabinet was not done.
That is incorrect, because the default position is that there is collective responsibility unless cabinet votes
releases them from it. Yeah.
So okay, hold on. Let me see. Maybe we might be in agreement here. Are you suggesting then that the default position, regardless if we had a discussion in caucus or not, is that the Premier should have said that he's releasing us from collective responsibility and allowing us to vote
your conscience.
But you can't release us from collective responsibility if the decision hasn't been made in cabinet yet.
Folks, I'm going to have to interrupt you because we have to finish exactly at 10 o'clock. Our caller, we wish that we could continue this conversation, but unfortunately we can't.
I'd be happy to come back.
Minister Bryan is, happy to come. 20 seconds, Minister.
OC, thank you so much for having me. All the callers that called in, thank you for your contribution. By these discussions, we all learn together and grow together. And no matter if they're difficult, whether they're happy, whether they're strenuous or so forth, we all learn from this exercise together as a country. Caymanians start to be together. We have to do this together. I love you all. May you have a God-blessed day. Remember, it is still hurricane season. Be safe. Drive safely on the roads. And I want to say to the family of Aunt Wawa, I am praying for you through these difficult times. God bless. Have a good day.
Folks, have a great weekend. Please stay safe. And God bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my healthcare instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777. For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman.